I want to make sure that what I say is accurate. I'm not trying to get anybody else.
I'm asking you, how did you get this information?
I'm not telling the court. What I'm saying is based upon information.
Okay, well, listen, if you don't tell me how you got this information, then you and I are going to have some problems.
We can have I have problems right now.
Okay, I know. Look, I don't want to know about your problems. Okay, at this point in time, it's disturbing that somehow you have surreptitiously gotten information in regards to the court's private ex parte conversations with a party. I mean,
a witness who was sworn in Friday. The court's telling, this is what I was told. If this is not true, not true. This court handed Mr. Copeland.
Tell me how you got the information.
Listen, whatever you want to do.
Tell me how you got the information, then we can go ahead and go forward.
I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is this. I was told, and I hope this concerns the court.
It concerns me that you have proprietary information.
Why is it proprietary?
Or information that you should not be having that was ex parte.
Why?
With a party.
Why?
State of Georgia.
How about the witness? So I understand that you're upset towards me, but I don't know what I did.
Mr. Steele, I still want to know, how did you come upon this information? Who told you?
What I want to know is, why wasn't I there? Why,
sir, I'm going to hold you in contempt if you don't tell me who tell me who this information was coming from.
I don't want to be held in contempt. Well, I'm not answering that question. That's attorney-client privilege information. I am not answering
attorney-client privilege. Unless you were in my chambers, that's the only way you can figure out.
I tell you
what, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. If you don't tell me if you don't tell me who it is, I'm going to put you in, I'm going to put you in contempt, because that is not attorney-client privilege.
Attorney work product privilege. I am not.
How did you get that information supposedly from my chambers? Did somebody tell you?
I'm not. You should have told me.
You got 5 minutes.
Well, I don't need it. I want to continue.
You got 5 minutes?
This is what I was told. Mr. Copeland made statements that he admitted to killing.
Respectfully, we are not obligated to simply accept that there's been no violation. We believe that there has been, and the only
okay, well then no, we're not doing that at this point in time. So you'll have a choice to make. All right. Take Mr. Steele into custody, please.
Welcome to the National Newspaper Publicists Association's Let It Be Known. Today, we have from the Atlanta Daily World, the executive editor, Amir Shaw. And Amir, we're going to jump right into it because things got real heated during the YSL RICO trial after an attorney for Young Thug was taken into custody. And it's been ugly. It's been going on, and we're not getting a whole lot except for what you're doing down there. Tell us a little bit about what's happening there.
Yeah, so I've actually covered the Young Thug YSL case for over the past 2 years when Young Thug and fellow rapper Gunna and several of their co-defendants, they were arrested in May 2022. And so that was 2 years ago. And we all thought that this would be one of those cases that will probably be over by now, but it's been 2 years and it's just been a lot of setbacks after setbacks. It took like a year for them to put together a jury. And once the trial actually started, there was just several hiccups in terms of just a lot of things that were just like outside of the case. Like there was this one thing where the judge, he wanted one of the jurors to write an essay because she skipped out and she went on vacation, and she had to write an essay based on
time out. Let me stop you right there. The jury, one of the jury members skipped out and came back. Judge made her write an essay. Is that juror still on the case?
This was initially when it first started. I'm not sure if that juror stayed on or not, but I know that juror that particular juror was held in contempt after she went on vacation during one of the it was like a hearing that took place where the jury members needed to be there, and she skipped out, went to Mexico. When she got back, the judge ordered that she write an essay. But that's not the only thing that happened. There was another incident where one of the defense attorneys had to, he was held in contempt because he didn't buy lunch for the other staff members, he was placed in contempt for that. And he, like a week later, he bought like lunch from Magic City, which is a famous strip club in Atlanta. It's just
He
been a
bought the
lot of
lunch from a strip club.
yeah. So he bought the lunch from a strip club. That's what I'm saying. It's been a lot of like I would say just a lot of distractions in this case since it started. And like you say today, Young Thug's attorney, Brian Steele, he was held in contempt by Judge Euro Glanville for what Glanville said was, there was some issue where Steele said that he had information that there was some type of collusion between the judge and the prosecution.
Yes.
And the judge wanted Steele to give the information on how he found that information out, and Steele refused to give that information, and he decided to hold him in contempt.
But here's the thing with that. If he has information, if that's true, he has this information. It seems to me that the judge would want to hear the information out. It should be more important that he hear the information initially, at least, than to know who gave the information. Seems to lend, and of course, this is speculation. You're down there, I'm not, but it seems to lend credibility, in my view, anyway, as somebody who's a veteran of covering court cases. It lends credibility to the attorney.
Definitely, I think this is one of those things that the jury they're watching this as well, and so if they see that there's some type of issues, they could it could be something where it's a mistrial, where the juries can't really come to a determination on what actually occurred, because you got to understand this is a RICO case, and so
Yes.
there's this not just one defendant; it's multiple defendants that's being tried at the same time. And so there's a lot of stipulations when you talk about RICO versus you just having one defendant. These are several individuals who are grouped together in this criminal case,
Right.
and so you're right. It could lead to it could be something that the jury members see something that's not favorable for the prosecution or the judge.
And the attorney, before he was carried out or let out, I should say, that's not, I don't want to give the wrong impression. He was let out by a bailiff. He asked the judge, could he speak? The judge gave him a minute to speak. And he said, listen, I can't live stream this. I can't be there for my client. He asked for a mistrial.
Mhm.
And you alluded to that. I've seen so many cases. If this is not grounds for a mistrial, certainly any appellate court, it seems, would immediately jump on. I mean, the things that you've already mentioned, let alone what happened today, but the things you've mentioned with the juror writing a letter and then someone else buying lunch from the strip club. This is all. How experienced is this judge?
Oh no, Euro Glanville is very experienced. He's one of the top judges in Fulton County. It's not it's not anything like he's someone who's been involved in this for years, and it's interesting that this case has gone on like this, considering that he is a veteran of the court. That this has been just a one of those cases and trials that just had so many hiccups and so many just. It just seems like it hasn't been ran properly. This is a case that probably should have been. I think if this was if you took this same case and you put it in New York City, it probably would have been done within 6 months, right?
Right,
So
right.
but what we're talking about is 2 years from this case, and so it just shows you that there's a lot of issues with the Fulton County system, period, that needs to be addressed.
Well, this is the system that's waiting to prosecute Donald Trump.
It is, and the issue with that is, unfortunately, for District Attorney Fonnie Willis, the incident with the relationship that whatever occurred between her and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade has pretty much put a I guess a stain on that case. Where now last week, actually, I think it was like either last Thursday
Right.
or Wednesday, uh, the Court of Appeals basically put a hold on the entire Trump
Yeah.
case. So
Yeah.
we won't get a Trump case until after the election. But
If he loses the election anyway, it's not
yeah,
going to happen if he wins the election.
it'll go
But
away.
but to keep it centered on Young Thug and YSL. And you alluded again that typically in Fulton County, these things tend to drag out. RICO cases drag out. But um, the one thing that most people knew or seemed to have known about this trial at the beginning, it was about the lyrics, using the lyrics to prosecute this case. But we've long passed that stage. Tell us where are we in the case? How close are they to even wrapping up? I imagine this is the prosecution's case so far. I mean, are we in the defense's case?
No, no, we're not. We're not.
We're not
We're
even in the
still
defense's case. Okay.
for the prosecution. They have so many witnesses. They had hundreds of witnesses, and actually, Judge Glanville he told them to lower that number, so they had to actually cut a lot of witnesses, and you know, and so the witnesses that they've called on the stand, a lot of them haven't really just cooperated. There's one guy, little Woody, he actually is a member of YSL.
Mr. Copeland, good afternoon. Do you want to be here?
Ma'am,
Do you want to be here?
I'm here.
Okay. Well, are you going to let me ask you some questions?
Okay.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the fifth.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I get you to step outside to your headquarters, your jury deliberation, please? From
He took the stand a couple of days ago, and he pled the fifth, and he was held in contempt for pleading the fifth. This was like on a Friday, and
For
so
pleading the fifth, he was held
yeah,
in contempt.
he was held in contempt. And which is crazy because he was given immunity. He had immunity,
Okay,
so
I got you.
he
And that
didn't
makes
really
sense.
yeah, so it was this kind of like, weird that that they would even call this guy because, he of course he would be for the prosecution, he wouldn't be a witness that you would want to bring on a stand. It
Right.
just doesn't have credibility, right? And so, I just think that from the prosecution standpoint, they've made a lot of missteps in terms of who they decided to call up as witnesses. It's just been a lot of dragging out
Right.
where you could have actually gotten to the point, and it's just been this long thing that's taken them a lot of time that shouldn't have taken this much time.
So a lot of people, when they think back to the O.J. Simpson trial, the murder trial, one of the things that tends to get overlooked a little bit, the jury came back in 3 hours. The case was a year and a half at that point, pretty much from preliminary hearing to verdict. It was a year and a half. That jury was worn out. So I imagine that part of reaching such a quick verdict was just this being worn out and saying, "Hey, uh, let's take a poll. That first poll, let's go home." Do you see this jury? You've been in the courtroom. Um, how does this jury appear? Does this jury appear to be at this point worn out?
I mean, everybody's worn out at this point. You got to understand that this is you. It's like a marathon, and like I say, a lot of these witnesses are very reluctant. They don't want to talk. They put people on the stand that, like I say, don't really have that credible. They don't seem credible. And it's just like you say, it's like a long. It's been a long road, and you're right. The longer it goes, that kind of tilts towards the defense favor, I think, because it's like if you just take the let's compare the Trump case, the state case against Trump, where he was just found convicted on those 34 felony charges. Now, if you take that approach, Bragg's approach that was a fairly quick trial,
Yeah, it
right?
was. I was
It
surprised.
was a fairly quick trial. Not saying that of course, these are two different
Yes.
crimes, right? Two totally different crimes, but the pace at which they moved in New York was totally different from the pace that they're moving with down here in Fulton County. So for whatever reason, it's just the pace has been allowed to continue at a slow movement, and it's just you're right. It's not going to benefit the prosecution the longer that it goes, and I don't think they have really made a credible argument to say, okay, was YSL a gang, or was it just some guys on the street that was pretty much committing crimes? I think it's two different things.
Hmm.
You know, there's some organizations where it's like, okay, we know these crime syndicates, they have a goal to actually commit crime for the purpose of something that's larger. Whereas this YSL case, it just seems like it's just a bunch of guys from the streets that committed crimes. It didn't really seem like any organization. It just seemed like they were just out doing dumb stuff that criminals do. It wasn't really. It didn't really. From what I'm reading in the case, it doesn't really seem like there's that much organization in what they were doing. They were just out committing crimes.
And folks have to understand that RICO, it has to be organized crime. And so this, what Amir is saying here from his vantage point anyway, that nothing seemed organized here. But I tell you what, the trial doesn't seem organized at all. It just seems over the top. At times when we see highlights, when we see reports, and certainly what you guys at the Daily World has been doing, it just seems almost like it's something that is fictional, that it's comical at times too. That cannot bode well. And Fonnie Willis is running for re-election. Educated voters might look at this and hold her accountable for it.
Well, I think she's gonna win their re-election. I think even with the, I guess, the fumbling of the Trump case, that was a major fumble, because she, out of all the cases against Trump, she had the most serious case, where she had the most evidence, she had everything lined up, but somehow a personal issue became his out, right?
Which really, let's face it, Amir.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you view it, but how we view it here in DC, that shouldn't have even been an issue. Listen, I don't see how it gave her or her office an unfair advantage, because that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for if the prosecution got an unfair advantage because she was in a relationship with another prosecutor.
Yeah. And no, they didn't prove it in the initial judge. I think it's Greg Olson. He basically said that there was no, that she didn't benefit from the relationship.
Right.
So, but he allowed it to go to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals, they're saying that they want to look deeper into this relationship that she had with Nathan Wade. But like I said,
let's go in the
yeah,
black woman's bedroom is what they're
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
what they're saying.
Like I said, and this is the state of Georgia, which is still a largely Republican state.
Yeah.
And like I say, if she would have presented this same case in New York, we wouldn't be going through this, right? I think it was something that would have been wrapped in one hearing. You could have wrapped it in one hearing. That hearing about her relationship with Nathan Wade took a month, and it didn't prove anything. But yeah, so just going back to that, this situation, her fumbling the Trump's trial, that was a major fumble. But this Young Thug situation is also doesn't look good as well. But she still has a powerful presence within the Fulton County community.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one who has a more prominent presence, who's running for DA. Like, she will win. She will become reelected. She will be
Yeah,
reelected.
she won the Democratic primary, right?
Yeah, she'll be
Yes.
reelected.
And lastly, before we let you go, as this trial has unfolded, as you've gone through, so many things have happened. But we also know that several co-defendants cut plea deals. Is there a sense that have you heard anything, any talk, rumors, etc., that some of those guys might, at this point, watching what's going on, that they might be a little, thinking that it was a mistake to cut a deal?
In terms of the Young Thug case,
Yes.
not in that case. It's interesting that you asked me that question, because it could apply to both cases. Because in the Trump case, she had several. What was interesting about the Trump case is that she had several people to catch plea deals too.
Right.
So she had several people who were willing to testify against Trump.
Right.
So that's why she had things lined up against Trump really well. But in terms of the Young Thug case, a lot of those guys who took those plea deals, they're not really in a position to kind of to go back because a lot of those guys have felonies, and for them it just wouldn't make sense to turn around and risk going back to jail or extending their sentences. So I don't necessarily think that they're going to go back on their plea deals. I don't think that's going to happen with the Young Thug case. Now that may happen with the Trump case, considering that it doesn't seem like it won't happen before the election, and if he's elected, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a great point because if that trial, if by chance Trump wins the election, the trial is not going to happen. We know that, and those individuals who pleaded guilty, where does that leave them? So real interesting stuff. Amir, we got to keep following you. We got to hope, we got to reach out to you, I should say, as this thing continues to move forward. Hopefully we can have you on a few more times to talk about this and perhaps some other things that we know a lot is happening down in Atlanta and down in the South that you guys got your finger on the pulse. So we look forward to having you back on Let It Be Known. We really appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot.
Oh, great to be here. Continue doing what you're doing.
It's not that you're wrong. It's that we don't care. Everything y'all said does not matter for this particular instance. We don't want to hear anything about Team USA. We know they won 7 straight goals. Put Andrea and Shanae up on this screen. I want to look at them this whole segment when I'm talking to them. You just highlighted 7 straight gold medals. Oh my God. We're really worried that they're not going to get an 8th. Oh, we really worried. I mean, we got to make sure that spots 1 through 12, every single such spot that is picked. I mean, it's got to be, because it's pivotal, Shannon. I don't know if you noticed, Shannon, it's pivotal. I mean, they won 7 straight. They might not get 8. They might not get 8. Stop it. You know good and damn well, with or without Caitlin Clark, they're going to probably win the gold again. That's not what this conversation is about. This is about what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid. And I'm going to tell you why it's stupid. I want all the ladies on this squad to know every single one of y'all are deserving of it. Caitlin Clark does not deserve a spot ahead of any of the players on this roster, okay? If we're talking just basketball, you know we're not. You know we're not. Let's harken back to the Dream Team in 1992. Remember when Christian Laettner was on that squad? Forget the other pro play. Forget the pro players. Forget the pro players. That's a given. First time NBA players were allowed to participate. Don't put that damn screen up when I'm talking right now. I want to see Shanae and Andrea, okay? The point is this. Those rosters, right? Those players were on there. Do you know that Christian Laettner also was chosen ahead of Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning? You know why? He was a 2-time national champion. He was a Wooden Award winner. And he was white. And he had his own cachet. He brought it to the table. He was a big-time collegiate player who was white and busting people's you-know-what. They couldn't miss, and they didn't need him. You had Jordan. You had Magic. You had everybody, and you still picked that dude. Why? It wasn't because of basketball, even though he had the basketball credentials. It was because of something else, and they didn't need the Paul. But the WNBA does. You got a max salary at $250,000. You had attendance, although it was trending in the right direction, certainly wasn't where you wanted it to be. And as Shannon pointed out just the other day, you got a team in the Indiana Fever with their struggling selves, struggling to win a damn game and be relevant. No team in the WNBA was worse other than the winless Washington Mystics, okay? And they went from 4,000 in attendance to 17,000. This girl is box office. I said a rising tide lifts all boats. What you do, especially if you're Team USA and you're trying to be globalized, it is an opportunity. You NBA brand. So people
now over to sports, and we are really excited about our next guest. I mean, as excited as we've been in a long, long time. you guys know him as Power 96. And that's who we know him as well. So let's bring him on as we tackle some sports. There he is. Yeah. Listen, first things first. Are you barbecuing? Any crawfish going on down there?
Today, no, not today. It's
What do
Monday.
you
This is
mean?
usually my free day.
Oh, man, I mean, I'm thinking you're gonna come on here. You got some crawfish, some crabs or something.
You got to catch me Thursday through Sunday. That's when all it goes down.
Thursday
Thursday
through
through
Sunday.
Sunday.
Mr. Louisiana. That's what we should call him, Mr. Louisiana. So listen, I know that throughout the course of Let It Be Known, you chime in, you give us a lot of stuff to talk about during the shows. So we thought that this is right up one of the many things that is right up your alley. Stephen A. Smith, he continues to just rankle people's feathers, if you want to say it that way. Um, the latest, and this is, I'm going to give you a direct quote. This is what he said. He says, "This is about he's talking about Caitlin Clark and the not making the Olympic team." He says, "This is what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid." He says, "Caitlin Clark does not deserve a spot ahead of any of the players on this roster if we're talking just basketball." He says, "But we're not." He says it was a stupid decision because it compromises, I should say, what your ultimate goal is, which is to elevate the WNBA brand. How could you be that idiotic and not make that call when throughout history, Team USA has been in part about marketing? It's dumb, period. Now, um, there's a lot of things to take issue with, and I'm going to let you give me your response first.
Okay, my first response to Stephen A. Smith is Mr. Johnny Come Lately as normal. If he looked at that team, the women's team has always been about togetherness, who can play together, and how well they play together. They've never taken the ego of any women or any woman that's ever played in the WNBA and put her on that team before anybody else. So Stephen A. Smith, to me, he says a lot of stuff to get people angry. And he knows that Caitlin Clark is a touchy subject, especially among women athletes now. You have women that's been in this league 5, 10 years or longer, and now all of a sudden, you got a woman that comes in, a talented player who's a scoring champ. That's basically all she is. Her defense is substandard. We know she turns the ball over. She's a rookie. She's learning. But to sit there and try to act like the WNBA don't know what they're doing by leaving her off the team, that's just another Stephen A. Smith so he can get some likes and views to me. I think this Saturday, watching WNBA, the list was leaked. And when her name was not on there, it was more about her not being on there than the actual players who fight game in and game out to be on that list. So let Stephen A. just be Stephen A. He's gonna lose again, and let's get Monica back on it. So I guarantee you he'll stop talking.
Well, so he just to break it down just a little bit more, he talks about how he says her performance does fall short, but he still calls it idiotic. But isn't he understating or underestimating? And I think you kind of articulated it, the other players, the Aja Wilsons, the just the other stars of this game. We're watching the WNBA in mass for the first time, right?
Yes.
That rookie class that came in, they are performing. And
Yes.
so are the veterans. And the veterans are doing what veterans tend to do, and that is make sure that the rookies understand their place.
And that's the thing that I'm trying to get people. See, I've been following the WNBA since Lisa Leslie was playing. So you know, for the LA Sparks. Now that's how long ago I've been watching the WNBA.
Yep.
I'm talking when the WNBA was not coming on ABC or regular cable TV. You had to hope to find the game. So I just think it's so disrespectful for the players that have been playing several years to have to sit there and answer questions about Caitlin Clark day in and day out. When where have you been in the last 3 to 5 years? I think the WNBA success also goes to the head coach of South Carolina, Coach Don.
Don Staley.
Don Staley. She has put together some teams in the last 5 years. Look at it. She only has like 3 or 4 losses.
3 losses.
So these women are going to the WNBA and they're learning from not only a great coach, but Dawn was a hell of a player her damn self, and she played with the first Olympic team, or one of the first Olympic teams, and it goes to show you, hey, these ladies have been having this talent. You just can't up and jump for Caitlin Clark and leave everybody else. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers from the girl from the Bayou. Her numbers are just as impressive as a rookie in the pros as they was at LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say anything else besides Caitlin Clark. I got into it, not got into it, but one of another guys from the Ricky Smiley show, Rock T, I believe it was, one of those guys. And he sit up there and gives this whole spiel about Caitlin Clark. I said, you're capping too much, bro. She's not the only person in the WNBA. I said, come on, man. I said, you know what happens? What y'all doing? Somebody like me, when I hear Caitlin Clark, I just turn my TV off. I let y'all have your 5 minutes. I turn my TV back on. I'm more interested in the game. Some of them like it, some of them don't. But what you gonna do to me, brother? Nothing. So, I mean, and everybody has their opinion, but I'm tired of hearing this same old opinion. I've never seen so many black men cap so hard for a woman that is a shooter. That's all she is. Show me her defensive stats. Show me her turnover to assist ratio. Even in college. I want people to go back and look at Caitlin Clark against South Carolina in the second half of the Women's National College Championship game.
Yep.
Where that sister girl shut her down. And the first thing they like,
definitely did.
Yeah.
She definitely did. And the second half in the championship game is where, as they say, the cream rises.
Yes.
That's when the money's on the line. Everything's on the line.
Put that glove on it. I call it the Gary Payton defense. She put that defense on Caitlin Clark. Okay, this girl lost 2 national college championship games. All right, I got it. We can't win them all. Now you go to the WNBA, you get all this millions of dollars. I'm happy for you. Rock out, homegirl. But when it comes to all these analysts that's going Google or Gaga over a score, my goodness, man.
As you said too, I think what's even more troubling, because you kind of expect it from certain people, but what's more troubling is when you hear Charles Barkley and Stephen A. Smith and other, like you said, black men in particular, go overboard about Caitlin Clark. And we're not, and I think you feel the same way. You're not trying to take anything away from her.
No.
But the fact of the matter is the WNBA is not the Caitlin Clark NBA.
Yeah, that the Caitlin Clark versus the W. I'm like, if y'all don't cut that mess out, man. I said, what I'm happy to see is I can turn on ABC on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and I can see that arena full. I'm talking just about sold out. These women long deserve that. It makes me think about the women that have to go overseas just to make ends meet.
We saw what happened to Brittany Griner.
Yeah, and prime example, Brittany Griner had no business in Russia. You couldn't put me in Russia if you gave me $5 million. I'm not going. But she has. Look, when you got bills to pay, you going where that money going with her type of talent. And we seen what happened. So now that these teams are getting these arenas filled up, now that you're getting these basketball games, televised live, not on ESPN Plus, not on ESPN2, you got ABC. Everybody in America, even if you got antenna back on your TV, you can watch ABC. So look, there's no more excuses, but you cannot sit there and make this woman, because you're putting too much pressure on Caitlin Clark, first of all. But you can't make her the face when you I can't think of her name, the woman from the Aces. Oh my goodness. I said that girl
Oh,
could probably be I don't know her
Jacinta.
name, but yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
Hey, she could probably beat me if I was 24, 25. And I consider myself an athlete. I was like, my goodness, man. So don't put all the pressure on her. But if you gonna put the pressure on her, you better be ready for somebody like me to come to you and give you the business, because I don't play. You don't know what you're talking about. You know how many men was watching the WNBA before Caitlin Clark came to the league? Slim to none. Now all of these people come up in here and you got something to say.
Listen,
And
Jimmy
I'm like,
Butler was courtside at the LA Sparks game just the other day.
he had
You're
the
getting
jersey on.
guys, yeah.
Which I think is a good thing, but come on, man. I'm like, we can't be capping this hard. My goodness, I'm like, y'all act like this is the second coming of Christ. I'm like, man, no. Come on, brother. No, man.
Well,
So
the fact is, and you've articulated it, the WNBA has come a long way, and now listen, we're sitting here talking about the WNBA during the NBA Finals. That's how far the WNBA has come.
I'm
Many people
telling
may
you,
not know that Boston has a 2 games to none lead right now on Dallas in the NBA Finals. What they do
you
know is that Caitlin Clark didn't make the Olympic team. What they do know is that Angel Reese has been choke slammed and body slammed all over the court, but still putting up
technical
double
fouls, kicked
doubles
out of
every
game.
night.
Yeah. But I'm sitting here, and before I took my beauty nap this morning,
It's beauty
the
now.
Lakers, yo, I gotta get my beauty in there. The
Okay.
Lakers couldn't hire Dan Hurley. He turned down 6 years for $70 million.
Yep.
But you know what's trending? Stephen A. talking about Caitlin Clark,
Yep.
and people are so upset. I'm like, brother, Lakers can't find a coach. One of the most historic programs in basketball ever, and we worried about some rookie not making the Olympic team, which they don't need. That squad that they got, they're not gonna lose a game. And I
Well,
think
here's the other part. Power 96, here's the other part of that. CBS News did a report, and they led the report, and they was interviewing Caitlin Clark, Olympic snub. The headline was that she was snubbed. Um, and all this talk, no one is saying who made the team. No one is talking about the women who made the team.
exactly,
Um,
exactly. And if you look at the
it's a
list,
problem,
if you look at the list, you're like, okay, who are we gonna replace
right? Right.
Caitlin Clark with?
So
Who on
here,
this list deserves not to be on that team?
So here,
Nobody
here,
can tell.
here you go, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is not on the list, but Power 96 years ago. So Nafisha Collier, the Minnesota Lynx. Now she is a forward who has Olympic experience from 2020. Kalia Cooper from the Phoenix Mercury. Chelsea Gray, Las Vegas Aces. Of course, Brittany Griner of the Mercury. Sabrina of the New York Liberty. Jewel Lloyd, Seattle Storm, Kelsey Plum, Las Vegas Aces, Brianna Stewart, New York Liberty, Deanna Taurasi of the Phoenix Mercury, Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun is absolutely tremendous. And here's my girl Aja Wilson, Las Vegas Aces. Uh, she's got to be MVP this year. Only
Got
thing that's going to stop her from being MVP is an injury. Jackie Young of the Las Vegas Aces is also on the team. But Deanna Taurasi is so good that she was on the Olympic team in 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016, and 2020.
yep.
And yet we're talking about Caitlin Clark. And we're not talking about, once again, and I'm not saying she deserves to be on the team, but who are we not talking about? We're not talking about Angel Reese. Why are we not talking about her not making the team?
I have no idea how people are overlooking the Bayou Barber. I'm confused. How are you looking somebody who comes into the WNBA, which has gotten way more physical, and as you can see, and averaging double double? That is not easy to do on any level but to go into with some of the best women in the world, and I want to say this about Caitlin Clark and her fans. If you think she's crying about fouls now, wait till you play in that against those European teams. They play a lot harder because they know that they have to rough up the United States women because the women are so good. You got to remember, Team USA, them women were beating people by 50, 60 points. Way worse than the Dream Team was beating people by. So
Yeah.
I don't understand. My thing was, okay, how if you want to complain about a rookie not making the team, you mean the Bayou Barbie who's averaging a double-double? How she's not even an alternate or consideration? But I hope the WNBA is not bullied or pressured into putting Clayton Clark on that team. Because if they do, that's going to send the wrong message. It's going to be like all you got to do is just be average with a name and a shoe contract, and you can get to the WNBA and become this. And that's just crazy to me.
And you know, and we haven't talked about one other rookie who's really lighting things up is Cameron Brink. She's another one who's
Cameron
been
Brink,
playing. She's the number 2 pick in the draft, and she's played up to every bit of the billing.
a
So
phenomenal player. Another phenomenal player that, how can you look over Cameron's contribution to her teams?
yeah,
You
Jimmy
know,
Butler was wearing her jersey.
I seen her on there giving her a hug and everything, and I'm like, okay, go ahead on, go off, home girl. Hey, I think it's good for the league. I'm like, it's good for the league. I'm telling you, it's about time. I remember watching the about 4 or 5 years ago, watching the finals for the WNBA. It was barely anybody in there. I'm like, and then you look to see how cheap them tickets was. I'm like, goodness gracious, not now.
Not
It's
now.
good.
Yeah, in fact, just yesterday, I looked at the prices for New York Liberty tickets. They're not like they were a couple of years ago by
No,
far.
not at all. Like I said, it's good. It's about time that these women that we take for granted when it comes to basketball, because when they play in the Olympics and when they play overseas, that is where they really getting that international shine, and they getting when overseas playing, they get a little money in their pocket because them teams in Italy, Spain, and Russia, they paying a lot of good money for them Americans to come over and play. The United States, the WNBA, I think the NBA is so focused on having Europeans take over the league than actually worried about the WNBA. And these ladies are like, okay. And like one of the ladies said, it was concerning Charles Barkley had said something about, and the player said, Barkley doesn't know me. He has never interviewed me.
Right.
And I'm like, you're right. I'm like, what can you say?
There you go.
I
There you
mean,
go. Listen,
what are
Power
you going?
96. There's a couple of quick hits before we let you go.
Okay.
I mean, you've been extremely insightful, of course, as we expected with the sports stuff. I wanted to just, we talked about Stephen A. Smith, and I was go back to Stephen A. Smith for a minute. He took it upon himself, for whatever reason, to post a video of him talking about not forgiving Will Smith with the Bad Boys 4 movie breaking all box office records, and saying what he said. Where what's the end game here for us continually, and I say us, I probably shouldn't say us, but certain black folks continually bringing in the negative when it comes to the success of other black folks. I mean, this what Will Smith, and I watched Will Smith, another video of him, by the way, which was very impressive to me. I love when, and not many celebrities do it, but I love when they do it. Will went into the theater. Fans didn't know he wore a mask that you wear during COVID-19. Sat in the stands, watched the movie, sat in the audience, watched the movie, and as he's walking out with the crowd, nobody's recognizing him. He takes the mask off, and they're talking about the movie, and Will says, "Hey man, that was dope, right? Right?" And they was like, "Oh my God!" And it was a whole celebration in that theater there, and it just humanized Will a whole lot. I mean, I was one who certainly criticized him for the slap. He deserved every sort of criticism for the slap. But Stephen A. Smith, uh, I think, again, view hunting, decided to go in on Will. I think it was just yesterday when he did this, and he posted the video. But the success of Bad Boys 4, and when you hear Stephen A. Smith, Power 96, Just sum it up for us in the way that we know that only you can.
Okay, first of all, I'm glad Will Smith slapped the hell out of Chris Rock. Should have slapped him twice. That's out the way. 56 million Saturday and Sunday, 106 million worldwide. That's what Bad Boy 4 just did.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith, you ain't making 106 million in your lifetime.
Uh-oh.
So you want to be that jealous hearted of a man who's been acting way longer than you been yelling and screaming those big words on TV that nobody understands, and we look at you like, come on, bro. And every time I think of Stephen A. Smith, I'm like, that is the farthest back hairline in America. His hairline starts here. That has to be a Guinness World Book record of where his hairline is. Gotta be. It's called jealousy. It's envy. Yeah. You mad because Will Smith can go in for 2 hours, 2-hour movie, maybe shoot 3-4 months, maybe 6, and come out with $20 million in his pocket. That's what you jealous of. And he'll never admit it. But Stephen A., he thinks he's the gatekeeper. If you're gonna be a journalist, you gotta come through him. Stephen A. Smith, you ain't never answered a direct message from me yet. Because all I want to know is, are you shucking and jiving, or are you riding the fence? And I think we all know he's shucking and jiving. That's how I can put that one, brother.
I love it. It's absolutely. Oh man, and lastly, just in retrospect, 50 Cent appeared on Capitol Hill. He was there presumably for Black businesses, but it turned into a mockery. We talked about it last week on Let It Be Known. The thought. Now you are a veteran. You
20 years.
have you have made that clear. Talk about just briefly, how important is it that the right messages get out ahead of this election? Because it seems like Black men, particularly Black men, particularly Black celebrity men, are given a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and flat out lies.
All right. First of all, as a veteran, I usually don't get upset about a lot of stuff. I've been in combat longer than your average college student has been in a college classroom. I have over 5 years of combat in a war zone. January 6th was the first and the only time I said I want to go to Washington, D.C. I cannot stand to sit there and see what a veteran, and we take an oath, and that is to follow the Constitution. That's basically what we do. What I seen on January the 6th disgusted me so bad. I don't really care for police officers. My brother's been a police officer over 20 years. Me and him get into it all the time. But when I seen those men behind getting beat like that, and they had no backup, I was simply disgusted. I get on the Democrats all the time. Joe Biden, President Biden, you have put more Black people in positions of power for a lifetime appointment than any other president in the United States. Do you think 50 Cent, Ice Cube, or any of them people know about that? That is the problem, your messaging problem. We got to do a lot better. I'm sitting here watching Black women. Salute to y'all. Y'all coming in 92, 94% strong of voting against conservatism. Black men, I have no idea why you think Mr. Charlie Ice is colder. It's not. These people don't want you to vote. But they would have a Brian Donalds, a Tim Scott. They already got Clarence Thomas. They gave him $4 million, so he's never coming back. But if you sit around and you see your local district attorney that's locking up your cousin Ray Ray and Pookie and Nook Nook, he's supporting Trump. Why he's giving these boys 10, 15 years. Or football numbers, as we call them down in the South, 32, 46. I got partners right now that's just getting out of prison. We graduated high school in 1993. It's 2024. These boys done did 30-year bids.
Good Lord.
All because of conservatives. And they don't understand that. To say that we are sitting there happy with Donald Trump because he has a felony, I wish you have 34 felonies and you run all your sentences consecutively, not concurrently, consecutively. So when you get finished with 4 years, you get 4 more. Moving from Rikers to Sing Sing to Guantanamo, hell, open up, what's that, Alcatraz. Send his ass there. I don't care about him having a felony. I don't care that he paid off a porn star and like a dummy, instead of paying her in cash like a regular trick, you want to write a check. Pimps don't do that, Donald. You sat there and paid I ain't never in my life heard a real pimp pay a woman in a check. Come on, man. Go to jail, Donald Trump. And you black men, you want to sit there and go with Trump? There's plenty of room in Rikers. Y'all can keep him company at night.
Power 96. See, this is why I said at the top. We, for the longest, we've been waiting, as that song Phil Collins said, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. We've been waiting for Power 96. Man, we appreciate you. When we down there, we gotta do some barbecuing, and we gotta check you out. We appreciate you supporting Let It Be Known, supporting the Black press, and now joining us. We certainly appreciate you.
Anytime you need me, right after my beauty nap in the morning, I will be glad to come on your show.
And that peach Crown Royal back there?
It's gone. That's a weekend up in this room here.
Listen, thanks so much, everybody, for joining the Black Presses. Let It Be Known. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks so much.
All right, peace out.